Oh man, so we got the ending to Snowfall. Snowfall finally ended, and it's been a good run. It's been a fantastic run. It was 6 seasons, so we saw the show go 6 seasons. Now we know, right? The finale. So I'm making this video because it's been so much talk and just so much reflection looking at Snowfall and the finale. A lot of people probably wasn't expecting the end. I don't think too many of us expected it to be a good ending. But they definitely ripped y'all hearts out on it. So me personally, the way I view movies and TV, see, I'm very, 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 I'm very passionate about storytelling. I'm very passionate about the power of a story. And I'm also very passionate about our people, because we are a certain type of people. We're very spiritual people. We're very soulful people. We're very soulful people. And when we get emotionally attached to something, we get very, very, very attached to it. I mean, look at Power. People were legitimately angry with the actress that played Angela for a very long time about that show, even though it was just a show. And I personally, looking at everything that I done studied as far as metaphysics, as far as the occult, as far as science, history, and everything of that nature, we are a certain type of people. We respond to things in an emotional and a soulful way. And it was entirely way too many people who had their emotional strings tugged with that show. And that's why I personally very much dislike. I did not in the smallest bit like that finale. Not in no way, shape, or form did I like that finale. A lot of people saying, oh, it's deep, it came full circle. I see it way different, and I'm gonna break down what I'm saying. The way I see it is, it was very ritualistic. And let me be very clear, and let me explain what I mean when I say what I'm saying. I don't want it to be, it's not no spooky thing or nothing like that, but just hear me out. When I say it's ritualistic, see, ritual is repetition. It can be routine. It's just what you constantly see. So when people who are magicians and they deal in magic and they performing rituals, they are embodying an energy because they are trying to focus on a particular outcome. So when we repetitively get shown the same shit over and over the same type of way, that shit's a ritual. So we might call it stereotypes and we might call it just the way things are, but it's that way because you are constantly being fed and programmed to see it that way. And it was layers to this for me. And I know a lot of times I seem out there when I talk, but it's because, like I said before, I'm very passionate about these things, and these type of things it's not something you can talk about with just anybody, because everybody isn't as privy to metaphysics, energy, all that type of stuff. So more and more I find myself kind of just not really needing to be heard in a sense of what it is that I see. And I want to say it's probably because we all get exhausted, it's like an ongoing battle. It's like an ongoing battle. And I think I'm in a rest phase where I'm tired and I really just don't have the energy. I just don't have the energy for a lot of those engagements anymore. But I'm working on it. It's like my social battery is just so low. Going viral this year really took a toll on my energy because I'm such an introvert. I'm such a reserved person. I have to skip, like I got to plan like a job. I have to make being on social media, generating content, doing all that type of stuff, I have to make that shit a job because I don't like doing it. But it's necessary for what it is in full and in totality of what it is that I'm doing. So I have to play the game. It's always parts of something you don't like. Just like if you in a sport, you're not going to like the practicing part, but it's necessary, right? So that's where I'm at with social media. I'm really just in this space, man, where I don't want to be here, but you know why I'm here. You know why I'm here. That's where it's at. Now, back to Snowfall. It's been a few days since it's been on. I hope you've seen the finale by now. If not, you can look it up here on YouTube. It's all the clips is here. If you don't have it to stream or whatever the case may be. But I'm pretty sure most people have seen it by now. So it's only right that, I kind of talk about it because it had me in a lot of conversations. So, let me get it out. But anyway, so when we look at Snowfall, right? The reason why I say it felt ritualistic is because we were so, as a culture, you have to understand, culturally, we are so invested in this show. Because this is a vital story and component to our generation. Okay? It's vital to understand that crack epidemic and that crack era and how it came to be. Which is what it does in an entertaining way. Right? So culturally, we grasp to this. Not only because of what it is and what it's about. John Singleton directing it being loosely based off of one Ricky Ross, which is somebody who is pretty much idolized in our culture. He's somebody who is looked up to in our culture, right? So culturally speaking, we were very, very invested in this series. And Denzel Idris did an amazing job portraying the character of Franklin Saint in his rise and in his fall. So he did an amazing job. So I look forward to seeing what he brings forward in the future. But we were heavily invested in the show, man. And John Singleton passed away prior to season 3's premiere. Rest in peace to John Singleton. So this hasn't been John Singleton's vision for at least about 4 years now. We can say 3 years, at least about 3 years. This is, this ain't really his work. It might be along the lines of it. It might be along the lines of the direction. Hey, maybe they got, ideas of the direction he wanted to take it in. But at the end of the day, this is not his vision, though. So that's just, just to put that there. Let's just to put that there. And what got me in season 6 was leading up to the finale with him getting Teddy. It was bigger than him to get Teddy initially because he kept making emphasis on saying somebody that looks like you always win in the end. Don't nobody that look like me win. And I feel like that shit was a hook. That shit was a hook to me because, and then you gotta look at it, right? Because his father was the Black Panther in Alton, and his father was telling him for a long time, boy, this government gonna fuck you. You can't trust these people. You better get your ass out of here while you still can. His pops was trying to tell him, but of course, he don't have no respect for nothing that his father was ever saying, considering the situation and the position that his father was in. So we're gonna talk about a couple of things. Let's just reminisce on the show. Let's reminisce a little bit. Let's take a look at let's take a look at some things, right? Let's look at some things. Let's talk about some things within the show, right? Because let's talk about this for a minute. Because see, we gotta realize a lot of people, it's a split thing. You got some people who, blame Franklin, and you got a lot of people who can empathize with Franklin and who can feel his pain and who feel like a lot of people betrayed him. And it goes to me, for me, this really takes me back to Man-Boy. It takes me back to the scene with Man-Boy at the very, very end. And how he was telling him, he was like, you think you gonna make it out of this alive? You think these niggas is not gonna turn on you? See, what we gotta understand is even if we don't think they turned on him, from the perspective of Franklin, or just depending on how you want to look at it, we could kind of argue otherwise. We could kind of really say that otherwise, because everybody played a role in who and what Franklin became, but nobody wanted to accept none of that shit. It always went back to Franklin in my eyes, the way I see it. But if you look at it, Franklin was losing people. He was losing people, and he was losing parts of himself along the way the whole time. It was chipped away at him or from him the whole time. If you go back to the very first season, if you look at it from the very beginning and see how his mind was, and even down to the end, season 1 finale. In the finale, they was like, check nephew out. When it's the scene when the ice cream truck pull up and all the kids run after the ice cream truck and don't nobody got no money, and the ice cream like, y'all get away from my truck if y'all ain't got no money. And Franklin go up to the ice cream truck and he pay the ice cream man, hey, you get these kids whatever they want, and that's on me. And everybody was proud of him. You know, Jerome was proud. Hey, look at nephew. Everybody was proud of him, was looking at him like he was a hero, was looking at him like he was for the people. Little did they know what that crack was going to usher in, because they had no idea what they was bringing forth on themselves. That's how it works with cause and effect. You never have the foresight to know what you are impacting. You never have the foresight to know what this is going to cost you later on, what this is going to sacrifice for you later on. See, when we ask the universe for things, that's why they always say be careful what you ask for, because the universe is like a web. So every little thing matters. The smallest of things matters. Whether or not if you leave now or in 5 minutes matters. It's a ripple effect. It's like the butterfly effect. Every little thing matters. Every season we saw Franklin go through something and lose something, and every time he lost somebody, he lost a part of himself with them. Even if we look at the wedding scene, even down to the wedding scene, when he went on that bad trip, that was evident and alluding to you what was buried underneath in his subconscious. Nigga, you not dealing with who and what you really are underneath. That's what that bad trip was about. You get a bad trip because you not ready to face yourself. See, shrooms and shit like that, they make you see yourself. You finna go to another realm. You finna do shadow work dealing with those type of drugs. That's what that's gonna do for you. And if you're not ready for it, if that ain't what you want, it's 9 times out of 10 it's gonna give your ass a bad trip, because you going somewhere you're not ready to go yet. So Franklin won't ready to see himself yet. He won't ready to see all of it. So when you go back and you look at Mel, the whole situation with Mel, this was the first thing that really hit him. See, he had the whole situation. He had the thing with Kevin, then he had Mel getting hooked on crack. Mel and Wanda getting hooked on crack. He had to kill Andre. It was so many things that happened on this show that changed Franklin. And honestly, you know, he was snapping at it. He was like, none of y'all wouldn't have this without me. But honestly, he's right, though. He was right, though. If you look at everybody, like, really look at how everybody ended up, man. Look at how everybody started. Look at everybody. Peaches, he stole the money and went off and smoked it up. Franklin caught up to him and he got him. Louis, in the beginning, Louis was on drugs. And she was dealing with the lady that ran the club. Leon, look at Jerome, like everybody, and down to Sissy. Remember Sissy and her situation, who she was working for, what she had to do to make a living? Nobody wanted to be where they was at. Nobody wanted them lives no more. Did nobody want to live like that no more? So when this opportunity came to Franklin, he didn't just take that opportunity just for himself. Now, granted, he did need everybody in order to make that shit work. He did need everybody. But he took that shit on. He took it on. And everything nobody wanted to atone for or nobody wanted to account for, He had to take it because that's how it is. That's how energy works. Whatever, when you in a relationship or, you know, partnerships of any kind, whoever doesn't want to be responsible, whatever you don't want to be responsible for, that other party is going to be responsible for it. Regardless if it's discussed, said, or not, or whatever the case may be. That's just how energy works. Whatever you ain't going to be responsible for, somebody got to be responsible for it. And so Franklin got consumed by all that darkness. He got consumed by it. Louis called him. She said at the funeral, she was like, "You the devil." He smiled and he said, "I know." See, before it would have bothered him for somebody making that type of, you know, saying it about his character. But it didn't matter by that point. That's how you know Franklin ain't the same Franklin no more. And when he took his money, when Teddy took his money, it's almost like, I'm doing all of this. At least I got the money. If I don't have nothing else, at least I have the money. They took the money, bro. And not only that, they took the money because he was trying to go legit. He was trying to go legit with that money. He was trying to take that money and do other stuff with that money. It was like, nah, that ain't really your money. That's not your money. It's the United States government's money. I could take it when I want to. And that's what Teddy did. And Franklin became unhinged. Now, his girl, his baby mama, Veronique, I don't think she had it. I don't think it was the plan for her to run off with his money. I just think she saw who he was becoming and who he had became. And she knew she might as well just dip because it was going to be the best thing for her and her child. She just felt like it was the best thing. Even out to Leon, man. Leon made it out. He made it out. Went and got married. Was in Ghana, happy, living a happy life. Him and Wanda. He couldn't escape it. Because his conscience was eating at him. Because he had did too much. You got to remember, Leon basically had to kill a child to face himself, to become self-aware, to take a better path. It took for him to do something that horrendous. That was the difference between Leon and Franklin. That was the difference, yo. See, because Franklin never dealt with himself. He never dealt with nothing that he had to do. He just buried it. That's what happens when you bury it. And even later on down the line, he continued to bury it. He just buried it in a bottle. But it was crazy because if you go back and watch that first episode, he went to that same liquor store. He literally saw his daddy by that same liquor store. And the dude was asking about his end game. And he said, freedom from it all. And he told Leon that he was free. Bro, no, you not free. You just a slave to the bottle now. It's always money, drugs, power. Those are the same. It's the same beast. It's the same three-headed monster. It's the same thing. He just substituted it with the bottle to escape in the illusion of just of that. Freedom to me, him escaping it all would have been him dying. That would have been him dying to me. Because that's the ultimate escape. It's the only way you're gonna escape. Ain't no liberation outside of this meat suit. So that's the only true liberation. The truest liberation is death. That's a cultic. That's a cult science for you. So there's no need or necessity to fear death. Death is the ultimate liberation. It don't mean that you're going to go out and off yourself. No, because you came here with a mission and there's things for you to do. But that ultimate liberation for your spirit, for your soul, that only come when you leave this flesh. As long as you in this flesh, you bound. That's why you got cells. Because you are imprisoned in this motherfucker. That's what that means. You imprisoned in this motherfucker. So Leon, he was still imprisoned. Leon was in prison to me because he couldn't leave. He saw his homeboy get fucked up. Everybody died around him. His girl left. And he stayed. And he was one of the original people that bought that crack into that neighborhood. So he saw everybody demise on it. And he stayed because he had to atone for it. See, Leon seemed to or appeared to be the only one seeking redemption. He appeared to be the only one. Aside from Scully. Scully was on a whole different thing. But this was why Leon, now this is just me, man. But this is why I say Leon couldn't be happy in Africa. because his conscience wouldn't let him live with it. He couldn't stomach what he did. He had to go back, even though it was horrible. It was horrible, you know, but that's what it was. He couldn't even enjoy being free. And it's wild to me how free and how happy they was in Africa. Meanwhile, back in LA, back in America, it was a fucking war zone. It's crazy when you really look at it, when you really think about it. And even now to Louis, we end up seeing Louis, she just on the run. She got what she wanted though, because she wanted to be the boss. She wanted to be the kingpin or the queen pin, and that's exactly what she got. So the DEA, the feds and them peoples, they was on her. That's what happened. You got to go down for everything if you want to be the one, because if you want to take the plug because enough ain't enough for you, because nobody on it, listen, to me it's a cautionary tale, because nobody on this motherfucking show had no self-awareness. Nobody but Leon and Wanda gained some from crack, from her getting free off from that crack. Nobody else had no self-awareness. Jerome got it in the end, but he sacrificed his shit for Louis. So it didn't really matter, because he gave it all up for her, and he died for her too. But all she had to do was, when he told her, I'm done, she should have been done too. Because you had the money. All you had to do was leave with him. None of that would have happened with Kane, Jerome. None of it would have happened. And when Jerome died, that was the last straw of Franklin. There was no more Franklin left when Jerome died. That was it. He ain't had no money. His uncle was gone. Listen, his uncle was really more like his father. As a father figure, he was more of a father figure to Franklin. And even when Franklin went and got into them drugs like that, it was Louis who took him to make the play. Louis took him to make the play against Jerome's decision. We've always seen what was going to be everybody's demise, because Franklin did all this shit for everybody else. Now, he got into it and he wanted the money, but a lot of this was because, looking at everybody else. But it's not going to look like that to everybody else, though. It's not going to be that way to everybody else, because don't nobody else walk in your shoes and think your thoughts and feel what you feel. But in all actuality, Franklin lost himself, because you can't do shit for other people anyway. He lost himself. All he had left for him to hold on to was that money, yo. That's all he had. Peaches cleaned him out the first time. Louis cut him out from Teddy. He robbed them. He stole from them. But was it warranted? Was it warranted? Because Louis did. She went and became the plug behind his back. She went and took the plug. Like, why you can't be happy just being having this connect? You running everybody else. You don't want to be on the Franklin thumb, but you're never gonna not be under Teddy's thumb. See, we all knew this watching. Like, what's the point? You're gonna be under Teddy. It's worse being under Teddy. Franklin is like right here in front of you. See, we can never see when somebody guarding to protect. It's the same thing with Tariq and Ghost. Tariq could never understand the position Ghost was in. But more and more as Power Book 2 go on, Tariq is turning into Ghost. He's doing all the same things that Ghost did. He's literally walking the same path. Why? Because it's in your fucking genes. Because the father is your destiny. So when in the very first episode, when he saw his daddy looking like that and how his face was and how he couldn't even talk to him, that was his destiny. That was his destiny, bro. That's what the father represents. Anytime you see anything, a show, we talking about symbology. We talking about what this stuff has always meant since the beginning of time. The father is or seeking out the father, or things having to do with the father, always represents your destiny. So it was always Franklin's destiny to be that way, because he didn't break the curse. He didn't make the change. He didn't make a different decision. He made decisions that he couldn't deal with and he couldn't stomach, the same way his daddy did. And he turned to the bottle the same way his daddy did. But to me, the reason why I say this was a ritual is because this is what we always get. We always get this. We always get the cautionary tale. We always get the absolute worst outcome that you could ever think, because you so emotionally invested in this villain character. You want to see this villain character win, and this villain character is not gonna win. It's a ritual. You might not agree with me or understand why I'm saying what I'm saying, but it's the same repetitive. You know how many tweets I saw, how many posts and whatnot I saw about Snowfall, where people were like, you see it happen all the time. This is just like how it is. It always, happens like this. Talk to somebody, I was so heartbroken seeing this, man. I cried. You know how many tweets, how many posts I seen that was like that? Because it's a ritual. I promise you it's a ritual. I promise. Because it's about energy. It's energy harvesting. And it's mental programming at the same time. Because anytime you do anything outside the lines, anything outside of the lines is a left-hand path. Anything outside of the lines. Now, there's levels. Now, there's extreme. You could be an outlaw or anarchist. There's extremes. Then you got people who are just unconventional. They're non-traditional people. They might be non-religious or something like that. It's levels to being outside of the regulated structure. See, as long as you're within the structure, you're protected. That's what it means. It's the literal meaning behind the stories. And we as a people, the way we are so soulful, the way we so soulfully, emotionally attached to everything, that shit was an energy harvest. Point blank period. Point blank period. It's to kill the rebel in your mind. You're not supposed to rebel. You're not supposed to revolt in any way, shape, or form. Because it's all the same energy. It's the exact same energy. An entrepreneur has the same energy as a hustler. It's the same energy. It's just levels into how far one is willing to go. So, anytime you rebel in your mind, that's what it is, to prevent you from rebelling out your mind. Rebelling against the system, from doing something different. So just saying, or just being a person who says, I'm not going to go to college, I'm going to start a business, that's not traditional. That's not traditional in this society. Understand truly. It's not unless you just come from a family of business owners. It's not traditional. It's not nothing that you're pushed to do in this. Ain't nobody telling you to start no business within the system. They're going to tell you to go to college, get you a good job, go a career. It's this line that you walk. When you start to veer away from that, it gets dangerous. It gets dangerous because now you're going outside. Now you're dealing in things that's not supported by the structure of the system. So there's dangers and there's things that you're going to have to face and deal with that you're not taught and prepared how to deal with. It's just like when we in the part of the story on a journey where they got to go through the dark forest. It's the same shit. All this shit is symbolic to the same things. It's literally just referring to you. When you have dreams, these are individual myths. These are mythology speaking to you about yourself. That's what a dream is. A dream is the God in you speaking to you. You can have something going on with your gut, and you could be having dreams trying to tell you something wrong with your gut. But you wouldn't understand it if you don't understand the language of symbology. So everything about this, to me, just felt this way. That's why I wasn't feeling it. I didn't want to hype up and say that this was so deep and it was oh so good, because no the fuck it wasn't. No the fuck it wasn't. It was just on some basic, it was the same old, man. Like, put niggas in their place. And I know a lot of people might not get what I'm saying. And maybe some people will. But this is how I see things. Like, I just see energy, yo. So Franklin, as a hustler, even if he is a drug dealer, even if he broke crimes, he did things that people wouldn't always agree with, it's about what it represents, yo. The maverick, the rebel, the revolutionary, the non-conventional, all of that is the same energy. It's the same energy. It's the energy that will tear down a system. So anything that will tear down the system is not going to be supported by the system. See, they have to take your mind. They don't have to worry about your body or what you're going to do if they take your mind. And this shit, to me, I just won't fucking with it. It's like some, I don't know, it's like mind games. It's like some, I just won't rocking with it. I just won't feeling it. And it didn't have to be a good ending. It wasn't about it being a good ending either, man. It was just about, yo, this was just some bullshit. I just can't explain it to y'all. This was just some bullshit, bro. Like, y'all gave us the utmost worst. It was like some, I don't know, bro. I feel like I got like mind fuck, like some Tyler Perry type shit. Like what the fuck is this? Like, that's just how I completely and utterly felt. I heard Bobby and me talk about this shit one time. I was like, yo, why do they be writing these stories they be writing? It's just like Queen and Slim. Yo, why when you write them getting away? Cause see, when you an author, understand the power of being an author. Understand the power of being a storyteller. Because when you're telling a story, when you're an author, look at the word author. You're the authority of something, right? So when you write, if you're a screenwriter or whatever you writing, you're the author. The pen is mightier than the sword because it's almost like you get to write into existence. You understand? The root of authority, think about authority. The root word in authority is author. So author is subconsciously, authors receive authority on topics. Think about it. Somebody write a book on something on the topic, they're considered an expert. They're an authority on that topic, in that field. People literally book them to talk about what's in their books, right? Because you wrote a whole book about it. You must know if you wrote a whole book about it. So when you write, when you tell stories as a screenwriter, it's like if you've seen Supernatural, they made the writer Chuck God. Because when you write, when you tell stories, it's like you God. You creating your characters. You creating their character arcs. You create their conflicts. You create what they're going through. You create the world in which they are in. So why create worlds, right? Well, we always being put in these one view front, one frame of view. In this one frame of view. Why are we always in this one frame of view? And I just felt like it was just lazy. I mean, but I guess I kind of get it. You want to bring it back to his pops, but I don't know, man. It just seems so completely just out there, man. Like he was in so many situations, went through so many things. The nigga was a hustler, and he just quit on everything. He just turned to a bottle. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just really wasn't really feeling it. I just feel like I don't think that was John Singleton's vision. I just really don't think that was his vision. You know, that's just me personally. But I just, ultimately, Man Boy was in his last words, was right about a lot of things. He was right about a lot of things because I feel like the greed, the money, the power got to all of them. Nobody had no awareness, show but Leon. Nobody. And Scully, but it took a lot for him to get there. But, they just didn't have it. And ultimately, I think that really was the issue. That really was the demise. But at least Teddy got his. But Franklin was willing to let that nigga live just so he could get that money. But his mom was like, nah. And people are kind of split about Sissy. I understand. She was trying to protect him. She might not have made the best decision in what she did, but she did understand what the obsession of the money was doing to Franklin. She saw that. She knew it. And she probably felt like she attributed to it some because they helped push his ass. They helped push his ass into it and help. She helped him. She was trying to help him legalize his money. She got into it with him, but it was all for the sake of helping him to get out. Franklin never wanted to be in and just be in it. He wanted to be in and be out. That's just what happened when you fuck with the government. Because at the end of the day, we arguing about Sissy, Franklin, and all of them. When at the end of the day, nigga, all this shit is really on Teddy and the goddamn CIA and the government. Because all of this is to the expense of whatever it is that they want to do. And that's because that's what happens. But man, it just is what it is. So ultimately, man, everybody got what was coming to them. It's just the way the game goes. But nobody really won. So, that's the lesson in it. Nobody wins.